Riley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Saturday, December 18th. So welcome to what I'm going to deem full moon day, okay? Depending on where it is that you're at in the world, we will be having our full moon at 11:36 p.m. Eastern time this evening or 12:36 a.m. Atlantic Standard Time early tomorrow morning. So regardless on when it's actually going to hit its peak energy for you, wherever it is that you're tuning in from the world, what we know to be true is that this is going to be a highly emotional, highly sensitive day. Why? Because that's what the full moon energy is all about, illuminating those hidden details that we didn't even know existed in our unconscious selves, bringing them into a certain awareness in our conscious selves so that we can do something about it. We can do something with it. If you haven't downloaded your moon guide, I'm going to go ahead and encourage you to do that. If you haven't listened to the full moon Gemini astro forecast, I'm going to recommend that you do that. We have back-to-back events taking place in this full moon energy. We have the full moon peaking. We have Chiron going direct. We have Venus going retrograde. Just hours, days, if you will, before the solstice, before that reset. We have a couple of days left of this 12/12 portal being wide open, really bringing in new visions, new dreams, new ideas for us to plant the seeds in our physical realm so we can start manifesting. Once we jump into Capricorn season, we roll our sleeves up and we start bringing things to life. So we have 12 different aspects taking place here today. 9 of them involve the moon. Of course, in the moon guide, you're going to be able to see all of the exact aspects taking place under the peak full moon energy and really dive into the shadow work that is needed in order to recognize each part of self and what it is that our unconscious self is trying to bring into our awareness for our soul's growth and evolution. Again, I recommend that you do the work. So the moon starts off bumping into, in a very supportive way, to Pluto. Pluto, of course, is wanting us to stand in our power, wanting us to take control, wanting us to truly transform mind, body, and soul. This is going to be an emotional boss up. First of all, we're having realizations and aha moments, epiphanies that we can't unknow. Once we kind of unleash this higher realm intellect, you best believe that we're having insights and intuitive gut feelings that we're going to be able to make sense of once the energy settles down. The moon makes a very harmonious aspect with Chiron. Again, Chiron preparing to go direct just hours after the peak full moon energy hits us. And the moon bumping into Chiron in this way is showing us in our mental plane, in our heart space, a brand new perspective on the wounds that we no longer want to carry. The emotional baggage that is totally weighing us down, preventing our light bodies from reaching the next level of vibration and frequency. This is going to put a total spin, especially riding off of yesterday's energies, a total spin on what it is within us that we've done a beautiful job in recognizing, bringing into our awareness, learning, integrating about ourselves, the way that we feel about ourselves, the way that we value ourselves, and seeing how that overflows into our personal relationships. There's a huge aha moment taking place here that we cannot unknow, and it is going to kind of speed us up, accelerate the process of healing what needs to be healed, preparing us for a brand new chapter, especially where relationships are concerned. Speaking about relationships, the moon goes ahead and bumps into Venus in all the right ways. And again, Venus preparing to go retrograde. This is highlighting, giving us an aha moment, a moment of genius on recognizing what it is that we need in our lives to feel safe, to feel secure, to feel valued. Most of this comes from the element of happiness and joy, downright and dirty kind of love. And that love, of course, needs to start in with ourselves before we can share it with other people. This is a huge realization, especially riding off the coattails of the confusion from the days gone by. We're definitely starting to piece things together, to get a little bit real, to get a little bit downright down to earth with the basics on what it is that we ourselves have been depriving ourselves due to our pride, due to our ego, due to past pain and trauma. This is going to be a good vibe to run with. The moon then squares Neptune, and let me tell you, hell sensitive coming in. Okay, we have a lot of energy coming in. This is going to really turn the volume up. Okay, turn the volume up on all the feels. Full moons typically are a whole lot of extra feels anyways, a whole lot of chaos. But a square is an inner conflict. It's a tension point. It's a pressurized situation that will eventually lead to some very profound insights, some very dramatic changes and transformations within us. But we have to be overwhelmed to a breaking point before those breakthroughs can happen. Neptune, of course, is in his place of power in Pisces, and this is about recognizing where it is that we've been living in some delusions, right? Sometimes we just like to fluff things up and try to justify situations. Well, guess what? We're super unrealistic right now because we're overwhelmed. We have energy codes coming in. We have activations just taking place, popping in our physical forms, in our energetic bodies. And what do we want to do? We want to run. We want to escape. We don't want to feel the bad feels. We don't want to feel any of this. But like I talked about yesterday, our emotions are the inner compass that our soul and our physical body needs in order to guide us back to our power, back to our source self. So you can run, you can hide, you can just bury yourself in work. You can eat all the food. You can just, drink your problems away or dabble into drugs. But guess what? That is escaping reality. That is escaping your emotions, and you're just creating a mess for yourselves when your conscious selves awakens to all of the dampering in which you've been doing to try and numb yourself from the truth. And the truth is that your emotions, especially the dark ones, are your best friend. Mercury is going to help us out here by bumping into the true node. This is a positive aspect, but Mercury, fresh into Capricorn energy, is really down to the nitty gritty. We have to be careful about our inner narrative. That Capricorn energy dabbles on a little bit of a darker side, very serious and somber kind of tone. Mercury, of course, in Capricorn really just only wants to speak on things that are worth speaking about, especially when plans and logic and practicality are concerned. But bumping into the true node in this way, this is a time to push our mental plane to the next level. This is like mental evolution at its finest. This is where we open our minds up to new information, to a new perspective, to a new narrative. This is where we start seeing the growth that we've already done and the potential for more growth to actually take place. This is like when the moon squares Neptune and all of a sudden things become too much and we want to escape. Mercury says, okay, let's snap out of that little la la land. Let's get real. Let's think about the future. Let's think about the progress that we've made. Let's think about the progress we still have left to make. What are we going to do with it? Well, I'm going to tell you what we're going to do with it. We're going to sit in that power for literally 2 seconds. And then the darker force energies are going to suck us back into the pit of victimization. Why? Because the moon is going to bump into Pluto. And this is providing us a learning opportunity, okay? This is like our external realm paints a picture and says, okay, what are you going to do? You're going to sit in it? You're going to cry about it? You're going to scream, poor me? Or are you going to be so frustrated and so infuriated of not being able to take your power back that this is the trigger that activates you to step into your power for good? This is where we learn to take our negative energy and turn it into power. This is where the pain gets alchemized into power. This is where the darkness gets alchemized into light. This is where the unconscious becomes into our conscious awareness where we can do something about it. This is a mental and emotional boss up. But let me tell you, when we boss up, we feel the weight of the world. Why? Because it's a lot of inner energy we have to muster up in order to bear the roles and responsibilities and commitments that we have in this life. And the moon goes ahead and bumps into Saturn. And let me tell you, this is absolutely when we feel the karmic weight on our heart space, on our head space. Saturn, of course, rules over karma, rules over long-term systems and structures, the foundations that we're currently trying to visualize of what it is that we need to plant and really bring to life now in order for us to be able to drop some of that emotional baggage, some of those roles and responsibilities that are just kind of snuffing out our spirit and soul. The moon goes ahead and bumps into Uranus. And let me tell you, this is a semi-square, so this isn't the brightest kind of aspect that we could have. This is adding to the emotional chaos in which we are all kind of feeling because of the full moon. This is, again, Gemini energy, lower intellect. Uranian energy, higher intellect. This Uranian energy needs to create a certain amount of confusion in order for us to have a mental breakdown, in order for us to be humbled enough to accept new ideas, new ways of doing things. That is the breakdown that needs to happen before the breakthrough. And it's coming, but the full moon is really turning the volume up on all of the inner chaos in our heart space and in our head space. The moon bumps into Venus. And again, Venus preparing, slowing down. She's ready to go within herself and really hash out her self-worth issues, reinvent herself, reorganize, re-strategize what means the most to her, what brings happiness and joy to her life. And right now, the moon bumping into Venus in this way is another learning lesson for us in our own self-love, our own self-worth, our own self-value. Again, yesterday we were illuminated to where it is that, technically speaking, we have played out the victimization part for far too long. We've been playing the prisoner. We've been playing the poor me, especially when it comes to love, not recognizing that we're the one that built the prison walls, the boundaries up around our heart space. Right? We're the one that gave our power away. We're the one that devalued ourselves so much that we chose partners and friends in our lives to continue to mirror back to us those wounds that are still very alive and well within us. And we've had about enough. And that's why Venus is preparing to go on this internalized journey into the underworld in order to strip away the pride, the ego, the devaluation of oneself. Because when we come out of this, when Venus goes direct in the new year, she is going to boss up to levels that we have never even seen within ourselves. And you best believe that the inner transformation has to happen first before we're going to see it in our physical realms. This is a learning point for us, an aha moment for us to get a grip on where it is that, guess what? We can't expect people to treat us better than what it is that we treat ourselves. And many of us who are on this spiritual healing journey, who have learned to love ourselves, well, we've recognized that it's pretty hard to find someone that is willing to love us the way that we love ourselves. It becomes very, very much a journey of solitude when you actually see the value, the love, and the worth within yourself, because it is hard. It is hard to find someone outside of yourself to love, to respect, and to value you the way that you had to learn how to do through the hard way. Now, Mercury is going to square Chiron. And again, Chiron just shaking, right? You're at that beginning line, the start of a race. You're just anticipating the gun going off, giving you the green light, go ahead, right? This is our inner spiritual warrior recognizing where it is that our ego identity had to crumble over the last couple of months in order for a new ego identity to be born. Again, reminder, please do not consider your ego as a bad thing. It is the only thing keeping your human avatar alive here in this physical realm. We have to keep our ego in check, in balance, but we do not want to destroy it. Now, Mercury squaring Chiron in this way is a huge tension point and inner conflict and power struggle between our heart and our head. This is bringing up all the negative mental plane issues, all the devaluation that Venus just kind of triggered. This is showing us where the negative narratives have got to stop, where it is that the conditioning that we learned as children has got to end, where it is essentially that we have to unlearn everything that we were ever taught in order to teach ourselves our truth. And let me tell you, under this full moon energy, things are very, very palpable. The energy is very chaotic. I want you to be very, very much aware that if you speak out, if you pop off that throat chakra and you're not speaking correctly, you're not speaking your truth, you're not speaking from an authentic place, you best believe you're creating some drama that will kind of borderline self-sabotage. Mercury goes ahead and bumps into Neptune, and this is going to save us from some of the inner turmoil, some of the inner conflict that we've been having, because this Neptune energy brings our higher selves forth. It quiets the mind down long enough to channel in higher intellectual messages, visionary messages, huge intuitive insight. Now we're not floating off of ego, we're floating off of soul and spirit. This is what I mean about keeping the ego in check. The spirit and the ego have to work in tandem in a balanced, organized way in order for us to survive this physical realm and to ascend into the next spiritual realm. The moon at 11:36 p.m. Eastern Time opposes the sun. The moon is in Gemini, the sun is in Sag. And you'll learn by listening to the full moon forecast and by downloading your moon guide that the sun and the moon are at 27 degrees. The sun at 27 degrees in Sag, which is our galactic center point of the Milky Way galaxy, in an alignment to the higher realms of intellect and insight, where we get just pounded with energies, with light codes, with activations that are going to prepare us not only to cut the cords with the last year and the past, the emotional baggage that we recognize now are preventing us from flying high and soaring into our light bodies, soaring into the next spiritual soul contracts that are destined for us, but we are recognizing where it is that we have a choice. We have an option. Are we going to sit in the same old negative looping narrative, limiting beliefs, limiting our understanding because of what it is that we were conditioned to think in years gone by? Or have we had enough information and details emerge to us over this last year, especially last 18 months, actually, to actually understand that there could be more, that maybe we're missing something. Maybe we're too stuck in old ways, too attached to old ways of doing things, old ways of thinking, old ways of speaking to ourselves. Let me tell you that the conflict, the pressurized conflict and tension that the sun and the moon are divinely scripted to bring into our physical realms right now are very polarizing. We are not going to be the same after this full moon event. Many of us looking forward to that because it has been very heavy. Let me just tell you, this is a mental shift like no other. Okay? We have the full moon releasing old ideas, old narratives, old ways of looking at things, clearing that out. Hours later, we're unleashing our spiritual warrior, Chiron, going direct. Now we have the energy to take action in our physical realms, to align our physical realms to the inner transformation that we've already made in our heart space and in our head space. Then we have Venus, the goddess of love and beauty and joy, self-worth, self-value, deciding to step back, to move inward, to go into the darkness of the underworld and strip her ego away, to humble herself, to regain her power and control, her self-love, her self-worth, her self-value, so that when she reemerges on the other side and goes direct, you best believe this is a boss up that we didn't even know we needed. So this is going to kind of wrap up the full moon energy. And again, the full moon energy window will be with us for the next couple of days, taking us right into the solstice, which is when the universe presses the reset button.